was this guy who got only 2 votes. So he said, why are you so sad? My family has 12 votes. I got only 2 votes. Means what? What does it mean? My grandmother, who passed away in 98, she's still on the voters roll.
Do you think EVMs can be manipulated?
So there are lots of limitations on Indian EVM. It doesn't connect on Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, nothing. It connects. Okay, it's as good as a calculator. Okay, and it has got few buttons. It's very, very dumb machine.
Hello and welcome to Loktantra Chats. I am Prasanna Naidu, a lawyer turned content creator, and with me I have Mr. Rahul Deodhar, also known as RD. So Rahul Deodhar is a practicing advocate in Bombay High Court, an author and an investor as well. So the Lok Sabha elections will be starting soon in India. And there has been news around frauds happening in India about the usage of electronic voting machines, EVMs, which weren't proven though. Also, recently, the mayor elections in Punjab, which used ballot papers instead of an electronic voting system, there was a suspicion of fraud. But this is not unique to India. As few years ago, when the elections were going on in the US, Donald Trump had claimed that votes have been manipulated. So, RD, please help us understand what was this fraud in the US. Let's start from that.
Basically, the situation in US was that Donald Trump had accused in the 2020 elections that this election was stolen from him, and that Biden had won by using fraudulent methods. Now, before we get into that, that is a valid accusation, but can it be proven? That's the question. So to understand that, and as you rightly said, this also correlates to what is happening, the accusations being leveled against Indian, electronic voting machines. Whether, because recently Modi also gave a figure that this time we'll get 370 votes, 370 seats. So he said, how does Modi know in advance that we'll get 370 seats? And they created a sort of a issue on that. But to understand that, I think, first thing we need to understand is how you can, manipulate an election, how to win an election by using fraudulent means. And, we already know that there were, in old times, in the times of ballot papers, there were very crude methods like booth capturing, taking hundreds and, thousands of ballot papers and stamping quickly, on your candidate.
I've seen that in many movies and like those times. And it was quite common in the northern states, right? Especially Bihar and all.
No, it was common in many places. In certain constituencies, it was quite common, which was thuggish constituencies. So thugs had a big role to play in elections because they could sort of corner the election officers and the security, get the ballot papers and, start stamping. Now, in 99 or 97 or something, India reformed its election process by bringing in electronic voting machines. Okay. So now we have electronic voting machines. So the method to sort of equivalent method would be to sort of hack the electronic voting machines. Now, it is proven to be not possible to hack Indian voting machines, and we can discuss that later why it is not possible. But that is one way. So in internationally, other countries like Venezuela, for example, the same issue came up that these voting machines are hacked. Okay, so those were the kinds of allegations. Then there is another method is to manipulate the voter registry itself. Okay, so basically there are 1,000 people in this constituency, 1,000 voters. So you add another 1,000 which are sort of pro you. Okay. So this is why basically illegal immigrants are given voting cards. This is why, people are resettled, and then, you get voting cards in that local area, those kinds of things. So illegal immigrants who are non-citizens, they're enrolled, which is a big crime. whereas genuine citizens are not or are kept out of voting machines. Deceased citizens are still on the rolls. Okay. My grandmother who passed away in 98, she's still on the voters roll. Every year, every time we mention to the collector's office or whenever that election come, list details come, she has passed away in 98. Every year, this is, I mean, not every year, every time they update the voter list, it comes. And yet next year we get the, her election identification slip. So I don't know if she's been voting, but she's surely on the voters list.
The election commission doesn't have that reach, at least now.
Yes, but apparently it seems so. So anyway, that is one way to manipulate the voter registry. But you can also manipulate the voting process. Okay. Now here in US, what they did or what was alleged was that certain black neighborhoods had only few voting stations. So people did not get to vote. Okay.
Okay.
Now this apparently all black people vote for Biden is what they had alleged. So this was done by Republicans is what is alleged. Trump says that black people have voted for him in greater numbers, which is true. So it is against Trump. So these are kinds of allegations, but you do not allow the voters to reach the voting station. Okay. So in US, they don't give a holiday on this date. So that is another issue. So if you are, a poor person, you don't get to vote. Now that is a, difficulty that is unique to US. In India, we get a holiday, so we get to vote.
Yeah, and then, we go for a picnic.
That's a separate thing. But then there is another way to do it is, that picnic thing is actually a way to put voters out of, voting booths. So don't let the voters go to the voting booth. So you take the voters to picnics or something, then you do not get that much representation. So that is one way to do. In US, they have another way is to create a constituency, which is because in US has two parties, right? So if you manage a constituency in one particular way to design a constituency is like a district which sends one representative to the parliament or the Senate or the Congress in US, in the case of US, House of Representatives and all that. So the way you design it is how you will get. So if you design it that 80% of the people in that constituency are going to vote one party, all Congress voters are in one district, then that seat becomes a stronghold. You don't have to spend money on that seat. You have to work on other seat. So this is what is possible in US. In India, it is not possible because Congress, you might select the Congress candidate, but Congress candidate may go and join another party. So, and then, ultimately some third party is forming the government. So we have like 20 parties. So it's, it's very difficult in India, but it is a way in US and certain places to do that. And the final way, what was alleged by in 2016 by, again in US elections by Hillary Clinton, which is manipulating voters' minds by taking out ads, by making, giving out misinformation. So this kind of thing, which is Russian misinformation, is what they had alleged, that Russia is flooding the American voters with, targeted ads which are anti-Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
So, or these kinds of things. So fake news, smear campaigns, just as you have announced the candidate or the most likely candidate to win, he is involved in a sex scandal. So he automatically cannot run, or he is ashamed to run, or something, or he's got an allegation of some $1 million fraud. Just that line. So that is why, some women made an allegation against Trump that Trump had raped them. It is to sort of get him out of the race. Okay. Right. So that is one way. In India, we have ways like we will give you TV, we will give you scooter, 5 kg rice, 1 quarter daru. That is the way we hack it in India. And daru is the easiest because 1 daru and immediately you get a vote. This is particularly Tamil Nadu case. Okay.
Hmm.
So you get the cheapest, and you can't give them English or, some rich, high cost,
Liquor.
basically 1957 champagne. Basically, what we don't want this. We want the real, the full strong, I don't know how much alcohol it has, probably 50-60% alcohol or whatever it is. They'll die with that. But
Hmm.
you give them that and you get the vote. Okay.
Hmm.
So these are kinds of tricks that people use to manipulate an election. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
So in the US election, particularly coming to specifically American elections, so Trump had made this allegation in 2020, and this allegation was made against Trump in 2016 by Hillary Clinton. So Trump was once the victim, meaning
Hmm.
alleged,
Victim. Yes.
victim, and in 2016 he was alleged perpetrator of that, thing. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the thing is, in the US, what happened was there were some unique circumstances in 2020. So first of all, there was COVID. So
Hmm.
most of the rules and regulations were changed so that people vote. They call it mail-in voting. So you take the ballot paper home, you
Hmm.
mark your ballot paper, and you send it, and they
Through
do that
post.
through post. And then this, so you know, that is basically ballot papers floating around.
Huh.
Okay. And coming in from various places, and then they are scanned. Okay, so how many were printed, whom they were sent, all this audit process becomes even more. See, when the voter comes to a voting station, there's automatically a verification. So you have, like, his ID is checked. In India, I'm talking about. In US,
Hmm.
any identification is fine. If your name is on the voter list, your credit card name matches with that voter list, you are allowed. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So it's very crude. There is
Hmm.
no identification saying ki, no, credit cards don't have your photo, right?
Hmm.
So driving license has your photo. So at least you should ask for driving license. But driving
Correct.
license may be in another state. So these complications they do not address. What they do is, if you show your name as Prasanna Naidu, your name is on the list, you are allowed to vote. But at least that
Hmm.
is there. In
Hmm.
mail-in, whether you got the ballot, whether your ballot was posted, whether it reached, whether that is the ballot was scanned or some other ballot was scanned, nobody knows. And that is you know, there is an audit process. So basically, generally, elections means, suppose when you receive the ballot papers. So there are observers of both parties sitting. So in front of them, the election officer opens the ballot, scans it. So these kinds of things where there was a lot of, you know, mistakes, we can say, or
Hmm.
errors that happened during this process. Now,
Hmm.
there is another aspect to this, which is basically how the electronic voting machines in the US can be hacked. Okay. I'll tell you ki Indian voting machines are different. So, but US voting machines also cannot be hacked, but they can be interfered with. Okay. Now,
Hmm.
US electronic voting machines are of multiple types. So one of the type is basically their scanners. So when you go into multiple choice questions, like, we have that exams where there is multiple choice, as
Yes.
A,
Hmm.
B, C, D is there. We have to shade one of the circles.
Hmm.
So the voting ballot paper is just like that. It is
Huh.
inserted into a scanner where it reads ki what is scanned. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
And if there is an error, the operator of that machine or manager or whoever it is, the designation, he can say ki this is this. The choice is A here, not B.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, this is a huge difference. Okay. If you, let's say you're slightly shaded A,
Then you cancel and
machine can't read, then
huh,
the
huh.
operator can say ki, no, it's not A, it's C. Okay.
Huh. Huh.
Right? So
Right.
there are all sorts of weird possibilities, because they also have a place where you can enter your own name, meaning your own choice name. So for example, today election is there. Suppose I'm in US, Donald Trump and Biden are the candidates. I can say, no, Donald Trump, I want Michael Jackson. Okay, I can write Michael Jackson there. But I have to physically write, and that scanner has to pick it up. Now imagine my handwriting, scanners, recognition, all these, and therefore that operator has to rectify. Has he written Michael Jackson or he has written Michelle Obama? Because Michael, Michelle. So she can say Michelle Obama. And Michelle Obama will become president suddenly for no reason. Okay. So this kind of challenges are also possible. In India, it is
also here in the US thing. You had written in your blog that there are only two parties, as you said, and they vote for the candidates and not for the party directly, from what I understand. And there are so many posts which they vote for. It's not just for the president or the vice president. It's the secretary of state and all kinds of like 10, 15 posts. So there are 10, 15 posts. Each post has 2-3 options which you have to mark down. So you have to mark like around 15-20 places, and all of them has to be scanned correctly.
Yes. And not just this, see, this is because there are multiple elections happening in that one ballot paper.
Oh, okay.
The president is one, the local representative is another. Okay. Then there is another fellow who is being, let's say, district attorney is being elected. All those are happening in one ballot paper only. So every state has got a different ballot paper. If in India, what we have is that one election, one EVM. Okay.
Right.
So there is
you
one.
Just have to press once. You have to just choose once. That's it.
So if there is a joint election, let's assume that you are electing for mayor and prime minister at the same time. So once you go into the booth, you select this is booth for what? This is booth for national elections. So you select, then you get out and you go into another line.
Right.
Okay. You go to a separate EVM and there the booth is separate. Then again the thing is now who you are voting for mayor. Then you vote again and then you're out. Okay. Here it is not like that. Here in one ballot paper, all circles and shading has to be done 50 times, like you said, and it has to be scanned properly, read properly, and there are operators and managers to check whether it is correct or not. So there is a huge, process involved in US. Basically, in case of US elections, when you look at all these actions, there are definitely some questionable actions that were happening. Okay, definitely. Now, the question is whether they have affected the result or not affected the result. Okay, it's possible that you may manipulate certain places, but actually the result is not manipulated. And I mostly think this is what has happened. Now, we can never know unless you really look at where the manipulation, if that seat had changed, what would have happened, things like that. So my best guess is that there was no difference of outcome. Biden would have still won, but there were, a lot of mistakes and errors in the process.
Okay. So when we talk about India, do you think EVMs can be manipulated?
So in India, that is the very center of the debate. How are Indian EVMs different from these global EVMs? Because global EVMs, I told you, are scanners, right? They also have this electronic press and those kinds of things, but they also have many are scanners. Okay. Indian EVM is like a button press. It's like and it is very simple device. It has got no connectivity, nothing. It's only one wire has to be connected by identified machine only, then it reads. So there are lots of limitations on Indian EVM. It doesn't connect on Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, nothing it connects. Okay, it's as good as a calculator. Okay, and it has got few buttons. It's very, very dumb machine, if you say as a machine. Okay. But it has a lot of other things because it has a battery, because in India power, quality is not sure. You're in remote place, there may not be power. So it has batteries, it has, counting things, it has verification codes. Then there is a programming process, and Indian election is like a huge process where a lot of people are involved. Okay. So these machines are first, they are sanitized. Basically, they are completely everything data is all eliminated. Nothing, clean EVMs are taken. They are sealed, clean, sealed EVMs. They come to local place. There are observers watching all the way from all parties. In India, we don't have two parties. So there are not two observers or like four observers. There are like 30, 40 people watching this process. Okay.
Right.
Then when you go, that room is sealed. There are people, watchmen of all parties there. So 50 people are watchmen on this place, including the police and election commission watchmen. But these are political watchmen also. Now, when you go to the booth, each booth has a different configuration, which is set at a booth level. So it's not like Narendra Modi will be first button. No. It will be randomly, it will be 8th button also. In the next booth, it will be second button. So you can't just randomly go and do that. Secondly, thirdly, our machines don't accept repeated inputs. Okay. That person, the election officer, should release the machine for one vote. He releases only for one vote. So one vote is cast. Then again it stops. The machine stops, freeze. Okay. VVPAT comes, stops. Then again he has to press the button. Then it releases.
Then the machine is activated.
Yes.
And then you can only vote. Okay.
Then you can work. And when these machines are taken, they also connect to only one particular terminal, through one particular terminal to election commission office machines only. So it is a hugely complicated process, which is difficult to hack. Okay. Because
complicated on the
that is
admin part. Complicated on the admin part. For the user, it is very simple. For this voter.
For us, it's very simple. You go in, you find a button, press it, get out. That's all we have to do.
Yeah, completely opposite
that is
to
how
what
it should be.
The US system is.
Yeah. So it's like, asking questions one by one. Who do you want to select? You select, then like that. It's booth by booth, you have to go and select. And that is why, and all this process is heavily, there are so many people watching, is very difficult to manipulate. So people have tried if I take a cell phone and hack the machine, it doesn't have the antenna only. What will you hack? No, what we'll do is we connect some wires and we'll connect. The minute you do that, that machine gets rejected. Okay. Because it has only one terminal which uses, which can be accessed through by only one wire, which is with election commission. Okay, it's not like a regular, it doesn't have Bluetooth, doesn't have Wi-Fi, nothing is there. So that is the beauty of, it's very simple, straightforward, but it is, effective. It's just right for Indian conditions. So that is why, Indian elections can be manipulated by Daru and all. You say ki, you give Daru and you vote for me, that may happen. Okay. Or you, like in Bengal, in Bengal, what happened? You just thrash the person. If you don't vote for me, I will thrash you. Okay. So that kind of things can be done, but EVMs cannot be hacked because there's a whole process behind that EVM, which is very difficult to hack.
In case of Bengal, how does the person know that one person has voted for him or not?
So their objective is this. Okay. So at booth level, okay. So each EVM, when it is connected to the server or the election commission counting machine, okay, it gives you in this machine, which is supposed to be 1,000 votes, it has 800 votes of this party, 200 votes of this party. Okay. Or 50 votes of this party, 12 votes, 2 votes, like that. Okay. So most of the time, these Bengal people, what they do is, 800 they know, but they suspect who is the 200. Okay. And they just beat up whoever,
randomly.
they find. Yeah.
Hmm.
You look, he was carrying that flag of BJP. BJP sticker was there. Immediately beat him up like that.
Hmm.
So that is the way, extreme violence is the way they do it. Because at booth level with 1,000 votes, you can determine how it can be.
Hmm.
Like most likely who is there. That local level intelligence is there. Most likely who is the guy voting. It has happened in Bengal that, Muslim women have voted for BJP and
Hmm.
Hindu people have gotten thrashed. Okay.
Hmm. There's, for all we know, that those Hindu people would have voted for other parties, Congress, CPI, or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. No, because, this triple talaq was a big issue. So
Hmm.
many Muslim women have voted for BJP. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And these special schemes for Muslim women, so they have voted for BJP, but, you know, it does, nobody suspects, right?
Hmm. Right.
And that is the reason. Now, in one case, like in my constituency, there was
Hmm.
this guy who got only 2 votes. So he said, why are you so sad? So he's like, in my
My
family
family
only there are
members.
12 votes. Yeah, my family has 12 votes. I got only 2 votes. Means what? What does it mean? So that is very granular data, right? You should have
Hmm.
gotten at least 12 votes because there are 12 members in your voters in your family, and you got 2 votes. So, uh,
Emotional
uh,
damage. There is a meme.
yeah, no,
Okay.
yes. No, another way, just as a joke, another way to hack election is Pakistan style. You know, so Stalin had this quote. It doesn't matter who you vote for, or what do they vote, how much do they vote for who. It matters who counts and how much do they count. Like, yeah, I don't care who you vote for. I will count. So Pakistani army military only counts. Whatever you vote, it doesn't matter. And and they go even beyond. You only count because it doesn't matter. Once we decide who is going to form the government, we will make sure put a gun to other people's head. They will change parties, support, and then they will get the prime minister they want. So it doesn't matter. That's a separate level of election hacking.
Yeah. Pakistan does have elections. So you are
Yeah,
saying that.
yeah, yeah. No, and recently also it is supposed to be hacked.
Hmm.
So they tried hacking, but Imran Khan still won, apparently.
Hmm.
But still, Imran Khan won't be the prime minister because he's in jail,
Hmm.
and someone else will be the prime minister because the army so desires.
So how can we stop this? Like manipulating of these election machines and all.
Yeah, so, the primary thing is that the election, uh, the voting pattern, the voting, EVMs and the voting process, that needs to be managed properly. So you
Hmm.
should have voter IDs to check people who are voting. Are they citizens? Then you let them vote. And then, voter list verification has to be done properly. Then their votes have to be registered properly. All these process, the um, you can say monitors, election monitors are there from various
Hmm.
parties. Those need to be present. The whole process from which is not the voting, but after voting, the entire process can be, you can record it on camera and put it up on the web. I mean, it's makes it more transparent.
Yeah.
Then, yeah. So in US, they have very liberal laws about voter ID. That should not be. You should have proper voter ID and verification of, so that if you are enrolled in as a voter in Maharashtra, you should not be also enrolled in Bihar or
Hmm.
wherever
Hmm.
other state. So you
Right.
cannot have multiple places the same person is voting. Then law and order, like issues like Bengal can be resolved only with very good law and order and control of peace and harmony during election times. Most of the problems get solved. Now, other problem will always remain is fake news, people trying to incite other people using some caste, religion, gender, some ideology people will. That has to be resisted by the voters themselves through proper, news channel debates or debates in political arena. But that you cannot. That has to be fought on the normal way. That is the responsibility of the voters to fight it.
Yeah. So as we say, it is a participatory democracy. So it's your duty, it's your dharma to
exactly yes.
Interfere, like not interfere, but be aware of the news you are consuming and what information you are passing on. Because in this digital age, information is the most important thing, especially when it comes to governance and elections.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think it's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the episode, do subscribe to this channel for more such episodes, and like this episode and share this episode with all your friends and family. Thank you so much.
Thank you.